All right, welcome everybody. We're super excited to have you on our sales meeting. I'm sorry, um our boot camp this month. We have lots of stuff put together for an exciting morning of tools, and we're going to give away tons of templates for listing presentations, buyer presentations, pre-listing packages, you name it. We are super excited to get started today. Also, as many of you know, we've been doing this boot camp for I don't know, 5 or 6 years now. It's always the first Friday of every month. We always say we'll try to end it a little bit early because we know 3 hours is a really long time to sit on a Zoom call. However, those of you that have been on this program in previous months, you know that it is so jam-packed with great content, great information, that it's really hard to get completed early. Anyways, throughout the program, one of the things I always say right from the start is that knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential. And that the real power comes in executing, like taking notes throughout the program so that after you get off the program, you can go execute. One of the challenges of our business is the busyness of being a real estate agent. And so it's really hard to execute sometimes, but execution is where the greatness lies. And so you want to make sure that you take notes throughout the program, and I say write down 5 to 10 items that you're going to go execute on after the program. And then you can come back to a future one. So, for example, watch the program, write down the 10 things you're going to execute on in your business, and then come back to a future boot camp and write down 10 more things that you're going to go execute on, because we're going to give you so much content that you could write down 30 or 40 or 50 things that you're going to execute on. But we don't want you to get stuck. We don't want you to get overwhelmed with all the things that you could execute on. So focus on the 5 or 10 things that you can execute on. But I'm also very excited because I recently put together a boot camp follow-up email series. So throughout the program, I will jot down your name. I could see your names on our participant list. I'll jot down your names, and after the program, I'm going to put you on an email drip campaign, which will drip to you over 30 days. You'll get little action steps to take. So all of these action steps are directly from the boot camp. And as you'll see, as I go through today's program, I'll say, hey, this is something that if you don't have it already as part of your business, then you should make it part of your business. All of those items, the action steps you should take so that you can execute on everything we cover today, are part of this 30-day email campaign that I created for our boot camp participants. Because as thankful as I am that you're here, I know that the real power is in the execution of many of these items. And it is so easy to get off the program today and then go get to work and not actually execute on the important things you want to execute on. So you can look at this 30-day campaign I've created as kind of just a reminder series. Like, hey, I forgot I should update my listing presentation. And by the way, here's a link to a great listing presentation. Or I forgot that I should incorporate sustainability practice into my business, and here's some links that'll help me do that. So we're going to help you facilitate everything that we are going to go through today through the 30-day email campaign that you'll be on automatically after today's program. By the way, if you're watching this program as a repeat, like you're on the YouTube station and you're watching this and you want to get added to the 30-day email campaign, and by the way, that this is for any agent. You don't have to be an agent at our brokerage. If you're watching this from a a recorded YouTube or you're watching this on one of our Facebook feeds where we're streaming live, just email happyagent@laerrealty.com if you want to get added to the follow-up campaign after the boot camp. And all it is those reminder emails like, hey, this is an action that you should be taking after boot camp. So super excited to add this special little touch, and it's designed to help you execute on everything. So with that, let me officially welcome you to this month's boot camp. As mentioned, this is a program that is a virtual fire hose of tools, training, technology. Literally in 3 hours, we're going to hand you everything you need to build a successful business. We're handing this to everybody who attends the call. So I could see already we have a nice mix. We have some agents that are LAER agents that are attending the program, but also if you're from another brokerage, don't worry. You're going to get as much out of today's program as our LAER agents. We're going to give to everybody, LAER agents and agents from other brokerages as well. We're going to give you great marketing pieces that you can execute on right away. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is we're not locking out agents from other brokerages from participating in all the stuff that we're going to talk about today. So with that, we have a lot to dig into, and let's start by moving over to our LAER program guide. So I like to start with the LAER program guide. Give me a second. My screen froze here. There we go. Let's see. I start every boot camp the same way. And I started with the LAER program and services guide. This is a 40-page magazine that we give to LAER agents when they join the brokerage, so they know all the tools, the training, the technology. And one of the great things about this program guide is that it has all kinds of links embedded into it. So if you download the PDF version of this, and any agent from any brokerage can download this. Let me pull up reshare my screen so you guys can see it. Anybody can download the LAER program and services guide at laerrealty.com. That's LAER realty.com/success tools. If you scroll to the very bottom of that page, you will see that there's a PDF version of this booklet at that link. And I always encourage download that PDF version. The cool thing about the PDF version of it is it has embedded links throughout the entire booklet, right to the tools, many of the tools that we're going to be discussing today. So download the booklet, but also it's a great place to take notes throughout the program. So if you are an agent from another brokerage, don't worry, you didn't end up in the wrong place. This program is designed for agents of all firms. No, it is not a recruiting pitch by any means. It is truly 3 hours of tools, training, and technology for great real estate agents. We're going to direct you on everything you need to build a highly successful business. Not only that, we're going to direct you to future resources to go get more information as you continue to work your way through building a successful career in real estate. Little bit background on LAER Realty. We're an independent real estate brokerage, one of the largest in the country. We are based out of Massachusetts, but we also have offices in Maine, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Florida, and we're expanding. Where we got our name from when we started the brokerage 11 years ago, we didn't even know what the name of the company was going to be when starting it. And what we told our branding company when we were trying to decide on a name for it is we said our goal as a brokerage is to attract great real estate agents and to build great real estate agents. And so the branding agency asked, what makes a great real estate agent? And I said, the best agents are strong, they are negotiators of difficult terrain, and 3, they are true protectors of their clients. In other words, they're not focused on a paycheck, they're focused on helping people. And at the time when we put all those words into a Google search, strong, protector, negotiator, we put that combination of words into a Google search. The first thing that came up in our search was a lion. So we said, that's it. We're going to build our brand around the lions of real estate. In the jungle, lions stay together in layers. In the real estate world, we say the lions of real estate are at LAER. We changed the spelling of LAER because ours is the mirror image of real, since we're in the real estate business. And then we created the acronym Local Agents Extraordinary Results, LAER. So I tell people sometimes you see lion statues in front of a home or in front of a walkway. That's because the lion is a symbol of protection for the home. We look at it that there's a new symbol of protection for real estate across New England and Florida, and that is the LAER for sale sign. So we've been in business for 11 years. We are one of the largest independent real estate companies in the country, and we're super proud of that, especially in the shadow of all the news coming out about these massive conglomerates. Like, basically, there's someday I think there's going to be one massive conglomerate and LAER. But no, we're proud of being an independent real estate company. Even though I say we are small as far as agent count, with about 800 agents, we do a lot of business, which makes it so that we're recognized each year by Riz Media and Real Trends as one of the largest brokerages in the country based on the amount of business our agents do. So that's as much of a pitch you'll get about LAER, because really what today's program is about is tools, training, technology to help you take your business to an entirely new level. From the program guide, once you get past the first page, it then moves into our cultural values. Cultural values we spell out, especially because if you're ever considering making a move, if you're thinking about LAER at any point, we always say make sure your values align with the brokerage you go to, just so you're there for a while. Makes life easier when who you are as a human aligns with the brokerage that you're at. So we spell out our cultural values right at the beginning. We then talk about why it's important to us to be independent. And then we move right into the good stuff. This booklet is broken down into 4 sections. The first section is marketing and branding. The second section is technology. The third section is training and coaching. And the fourth section is support services. So each of the 4 sections is highlighted by these big markers. So we're going to head right into marketing and branding, and that's where we're going to spend most of the morning before we transition over to the technology and training and coaching stuff as well. So let's dig into marketing. I know many of you are on today's program because you want some great pieces. You want a really powerful listing presentation, a powerful buyer presentation. You want buyer guides, seller guides, for sale by owner guides. You want all of this really strong content. So let's start. First, let's take an exploration of LAERagentservices.com. So LAER Agent Services is our agent dashboard. Now, many of you are not LAER agents, so you're probably thinking, oh, great, I'm not going to have access to all the stuff that she's about to talk about. And the first thing you'll notice when you get over to LAER Agent Services in our dashboard is there's no password protection. So in other words, our goal from the beginning was to help agents be the best version of themselves. We didn't say from the beginning, our goal is to help our own agents become the best version of themselves. In fact, we think that it's our duty, our mission to help all agents become the best versions of themselves, because the way our community works, we're working together all the time as agents. It's a very unique industry where we are consistently working with the agent next to us. Most transactions, like 95+%, have two agents on that transaction. So we want to help all agents because in the spirit of cooperation, we think everyone doing better helps our own agents do better. So let's take an exploration of the LAER Agent Services dashboard. Okay, first thing, when we designed this, we kept in mind that one thing agents love to do is explore real estate. You guys love going inside houses. So we built all of the important buttons on the site around houses. You'll see all these gold little houses, and we encourage you to go explore these houses when you have some time. So you'll want to bookmark the LAER Agent Services on your website so you can come back to it regularly. This is not one of those websites you come to once. You will come back all the time. For two reasons. Number one, there's so much information on there, you can't get it. You wouldn't be able to absorb it all in one sitting. So agents come back all the time to grab something that they saw a few months ago. But secondly, because we're updating it all the time. This LAER Agent Services dashboard changes every week. We're constantly adding new stuff, new content, new marketing pieces, new training programs. So it's not a static site. It will change. If you come back next week, it's going to have different and additional content than it does this week. So the LAER Agent Services dashboard, let's explore it, because I'm going to point out to you some of the places that you'll want to spend some time. Right at the very top of the site, you will see like a table of contents, and then you're going to go down and you'll start looking at the houses. We have a section for agents that recently joined our brokerage, and then a whole marketing section, an agent growth and development section, agent toolbox, and our agent directory, then a LAER agent blog. So let's start at the very, very top and check out some of these cool pieces right here. Now, the first thing you'll see is the Happy Agent host schedule. If you're a LAER agent, as you know, each office has a host. Their job is to come to the office regularly and check supplies, make sure the office is cleaned, and it's your host that organizes the office luncheon every month to bring agents together. So oftentimes agents need to know if there's a host in the office on a particular day. Maybe you have a client dropping off something, or maybe you have somebody coming to drop off a check. Anyways, if you want to know at any point the schedule for the host, just click over here, Happy Agent Host Schedule, and you scroll down and it tells you who's working in which office on which days. So as you'll see, you can look up the office that you're looking for, and it's going to tell you who's in for that day and what time they're in. So that's a cool little resource for LAER agents. You'll also see here a link to the LAER News. This is our internal company newsletter, the LAER Den, and this goes out once a month. By the way, even if you're not a LAER agent, there's really cool content in this every month. But you'll see here the September 2025 LAER Den. It's always 4 pages, and I encourage you to go check out all of the pages each month, because there's always like a section with technology, book smarts section. We do movie reviews, But also you'll see a section in there about what's happening in the lives of your fellow LAER agents, who got married, who had a baby, and who had a loss in their family, so you can stay connected to your peers. As I mentioned, a movie section, sustainability section. If any of our offices are doing like cool little events, we put them there. And any other office or company initiatives that we're doing. So as you guys know, we recently launched the Sell Mom's House partnership. So the September issue of the LAER Den has a whole section about this new partnership and how agents can get involved in that. And finally, the birthdays for the month. So we list all of your birthdays for your peers that month. So that is our monthly newsletter, and highly encourage agents to get a copy. You can download it right here, but also if you go into any LAER office, typically our hosts will print them out and put them in a little brochure holder somewhere around the front desk area, so you can grab one if you drop into any of our offices. Next, we have our recently joined section. If you click that, it's going to just bring you right here. That's agents who recently joined the brokerage. By the way, if you're an agent, a LAER agent who joined us recently, and you don't see yourself here being welcomed yet, that is because we're probably missing something, either a photo or a bio. So we wait until we have your photo and your bio before we officially welcome you on our LAER Agent Services site. Marketing. If you click on marketing, it's going to bring you right down to this marketing, branding, and presentations, which I'll give you a tour of in a moment. The social media assistant. This too is going to take you down right to we're going to cover the social media assistant in a few minutes. It's under our marketing and branding. The growth and development section is going to take you down to the growth and development section. And all of these are basically going to take you down further into into the LAER Agent Services page. So let's go explore some of these houses and what's here. First, we have the resources for recently joined LAER agents. First off, the very first link is the program and services guide. That's where we started this morning with that booklet. The next section is frequently asked questions. If you're a LAER agent who recently joined the brokerage and you have a question, always just email happyagent@laerrealty.com. We're happy to, one of our staff members will jump on that question right away. But also, let's just say it's 11 o'clock at night and you have a question about something. If you click on this LAER GPS or frequently asked questions, it takes you over to LAER GPS, which is we take the most asked questions every year. We pull together from our Happy Agent system all the most frequently asked questions, and we post the answers here. So I don't want to discourage anybody from just asking our live support team, but if it's after hours, like late at night or something, and you have a quick question, all of those questions are typically here as well. And then also, if you're newly joined, there's a link here for information on marketing yourself. So there's a social media announcement, a text announcement, a letter announcement. These are all of those open into Canva templates. So as soon as you open the template, it's yours and you can begin customizing it. So it's just us doing a little bit of the front work so that you don't have to spend a ton of time focusing on getting your announcement out to your sphere of influence. All right, as I mentioned, we have our please join us in welcoming. This is our recently joined agents. And then we're going to move down to marketing, branding, and presentations. This is often the reason why many of you are on the call. So we'll spend some time here and I'm going to show you some of the most valuable pieces that you will want to go execute on after today's program. As I mentioned, the key to a really successful boot camp is the execution, like going and actually executing on some of the great stuff we have so that you could turn these resources into business. So we're going to start with the guides, presentations, and brochures. Now, by the way, we'll have in a little while for the LAER agents. As many of you know, we recently transitioned over to Zara for a lot of our marketing pieces. And I think what I'll do is, because Zara is pretty new for us, I want to explain a little bit about the difference between Canva and Zara. First of all, we'll never get rid of our Canva stuff. We have so much Canva content on here. We've built listing presentations, buyer presentations, pre-listing packages. I mean, there's just content galore. So if what we did recently with our partnership with Zara is a marketing platform for LAER agents where you can go on and access all of these materials that you see here in Zara. And they will they'll already be branded to you with your picture, your content, your bio, stuff like that, your contact information. So we're going to keep all the Canva stuff here for many reasons. Some agents prefer using Canva, but also we put almost all of this content on Zara as well. So if you're a LAER agent and you don't want to go do all the customization of putting your picture and your bio on stuff, you can go over to Canva. Most of these pieces are going to be in the Zara platform. But let's go through and take a look at what we have here and some of the most important pieces for any agent. Some of the items we're going to cover here are the things you should be executing on after today's class. Okay, first we will head over, as you'll see, one thing I'd like to point out is as you scroll through, make sure you always, when you get to the bottom of the page, there's a button that says see more. So that could trip people up. Because there's only one item, you'll see there's 3 pieces per row. And for some reason on the last row, it only has 1. So some people stop there thinking that's all the content there is. But you'll see down here, there's a little button that says see more. There's still more content. So keep scrolling until you find what you are looking for, and you'll see we have tons and tons of pieces. So you'll see down here there's another see more button, and that's it. Okay, so about 2 or 3 see more buttons. And don't forget, we're always adding to this as well. So as you scroll down to kind of browse the pieces that are in there, keep clicking the see more button. So let's talk about some of the cool pieces on here. First, there's tons of guides. So that's like booklets about yourself. So you'll see a for sale by owner guide, a buyer guide, a seller guide, an investor guide. And any of these you can just open up. In case you're not familiar with Canva, the way that we've shared these is through what is called the Canva template. That means as soon as you open the Canva template, it's now your document. It opens into your Canva. If you've never used Canva, go open a free account. You'll see there's 2 different types of accounts in Canva. You can buy a free account, and they also have a paid account, which is around $15 per month, roughly. You can use all of our stuff with the free account with one caveat, which I'll show you in a moment. So I'm opening up the for sale by owner guide. This is one of 4 different guides. So as I mentioned, we have I think we have 5. For sale by owner guide, an expired listing guide, investor guide, buyer guide, and a seller guide. We have 5 guides. This particular one is a 29-page booklet for sale by owners. What the heck do you use this for? Well, somebody lists a house for sale by owner and you want to go knock on the door, which hopefully you do. You want to have something really good to give to that person. So the gist of this booklet is to give the for sale by owner some strategies for selling their property, some good ideas for getting their property sold on their own. Of course, the reason why it's 29 pages long, as opposed to our typical buyer guide, which I'll show you in a minute. I think our buyer guide's like 14 pages or 12 pages, because if they hire you, they don't have to do all this extra work that we have outlined within this booklet. So of course, the for sale by owner guide is going to be double the size of our regular buyer guide, because the buyer guide is for somebody who's hiring you. If they're going to do it on their own, there's a lot of work. So this whole guide is designed to make them look through it, and it's real information, it's real content to help them. But they also begin to see the amount of work, not only work, but also liability, the challenges of selling a property on their own. So this is the guide. Anything on any of our documents in Canva can be edited. So for example, let's just say you don't like something here. We'll say, let me make this a little bigger so you could see it on your screen. Let's say that on this page about professional photography, you don't like this photo, for example. You can delete the photo and put in your own photo. As well, you could take out whole sections. Maybe you don't want anything in there about professional photos at all. You can delete pages, you can add pages, you can delete pictures, you can delete text, whatever you want. It's editable within Canva. So, second thing, I said a few minutes ago that in order to use all of our Canva stuff, you need a Canva account. And you could get the free version of Canva or the paid version of Canva. The free version will give you access to all of these pieces. The only difference is that if you have the free version, every once in a while, you're going to land on a photo. Like, let's say this right here, this open house photo of a pretty white and black kitchen. That is a stock image. Stock images are important because you're in the business of marketing in general. So you want to have nice stock images as you build out your marketing pieces, your presentations, everything should have stock images. So when you have a free version of Canva, they have hundreds of thousands of stock images to choose from. When you have the paid version of Canva for $15 a month, roughly, they give you like millions and millions of stock images. So when we build the pieces out, we often use stock images from the paid version of Canva. Because we build a lot of marketing pieces, we need millions and millions of stock images. So if you're using the free version of Canva, and there is a page within one of our marketing pieces that has been from the paid version of Canva, you're going to see a Canva watermark across the image. You might say, cool, I'll use the guide, the for sale by owner guide with that Canva watermark. It won't let you download the guide to a PDF so you can print it. So you'll be prohibited from downloading the guide because there's an image on there that you don't have rights to under the free version of Canva. So does that mean you can't use the products? No, you can 100% still use the whole for sale by owner booklet. You just have to take out that photo, and you can go pick any of their other photos that are free. So if I want to change this photo, I'm going to go to Elements and I'm going to look for pretty kitchen photos. And I'm going to go here. Whoops. I'm going to do see all. And you'll see I typed in, I want pictures of pretty kitchens. And when I do that, you'll see that some of these have this little picture of a crown. That means that that is an image only available to the paid Canva users. So you're going to go use an image that is free. If you're under the free version of Canva and you're updating a piece only because it's got a Canva watermark because we used the paid version of Canva for that image, you'll just change out the image to a free one. So I'm going to put this one in. There. Problem solved. I can now download this, even if I'm using the free version of Canva. You'll see they have tons of free ones. Here's another. This one looks almost, oh, it probably is identical to the one that I was using, but let's see. You'll see there's tons and tons of the free ones. Here's another one, a free one. So many of the images we use within the marketing pieces we create are the free images as well. In other words, we use both. So many of the images will be free images, which means you won't have to change it. If you have the paid version of Canva, you don't even have to think about any of this. You can use all the images that we're using. So this is the for sale by owner guide. This is really cool for going and door knocking somebody that has a for sale by owner listing in front of their house, or a for sale by owner sign in front of their house. So you'll see it goes through all the intricacies of selling a property on your own. And the whole idea of it is to make them want to call you. At the very end, there's a place for you to put your photo and to update a bio for yourself. And you can change out your logos. You could change out anything on any of these pieces. So that's just one. That's the for sale by owner guide. We also have buyer guides and seller guides. You'll see we have a kids listing agreement. We have, we created this brochure, How the Market Affects Property Prices, only because we're seeing across all of our markets that the market is affecting property prices and people don't quite understand what that means. And so we have a nice trifold brochure on that. We have a nice guide here, a document on the difference between owning versus renting. Oh, here's the expired listing pack I mentioned. If you're an agent that reaches out to expired listings, we created a beautiful booklet for you. You can go and customize. We have lots of listing presentations, buyer presentations, and pre-listing packages here. You'll see here we have different variations of our high performance agent listing presentation and buyer presentation. This is if you have an interest in pursuing a sustainability niche for your business. Here's the buyer agency guide. We have a document on why sellers should offer buyer agent commission. We have a net proceeds sheet, document on rooftop solar abuses. Then this is the buyer presentation, the LAER guide to buyer representation for New England. There's also one for Florida. LAER Realty Buyer's Guide for Florida, and a regular buyer's guide. I should take a moment just to note that as you're going through some of the pieces, you'll note on a few of the pieces, especially the presentation materials, you'll see a difference between, we have like a version for New England and a version for Florida. By the way, if you're with another brokerage, you can use all these documents and marketing pieces. I would run them by your broker just to make sure that all the promises you're making are genuine and that you can make the promises. What I mean by that is the reason why we have two different presentations, one for New England and one for Florida, is because we practice different types of agency in New England versus Florida. So in New England, we do true buyer representation and seller representation. In Florida, we do transaction. We basically only do transaction brokerage in Florida. So that means that on our Florida marketing pieces, there's less promise of fiduciary representation. So we've tweaked all those marketing pieces for Florida, so we're not over promising how we represent people in Florida. So just something to think about as you're going through your pieces. And by the way, you should do this, anybody should do this anyway. It's like go through each marketing piece or presentation that you're creating and ask yourself, like, do I do this? Like, do I actually offer buyer representation? So you want to make sure the promises that you make align with the promises you're going to keep. That's for everybody. So we have a seller agent guide, listing presentations. We have some cool guides here. Final walkthrough checklist, trusted vendor list, a locals guide, a guide to real estate investing. If you're a LAER agent, we have a nice 4-page brochure about LAER here as well. So tons of resources, but let's dig in. Oh, by the way, we have a really long, this can be pared down because it's super, super long, but we have a very detailed first-time homebuyer course. This particular one is designed for like several sessions. So if you're just doing like a half-hour first-time homebuyer course, you would pare this one down big time, because this particular one we created for somebody that was doing like a multi-week course on buying your first home. So if you click on this one, but it's great content, so you can actually pare it down for whatever you need. But you'll see this one has 155 slides. So this is a presentation about how to buy a house, over 155 slides, because this was like a 6-week course that we designed for one of our agents. But you could just take out any piece of this and create your own course that could be 1 hour or half an hour or 3 days, or you could use all 6 classes if you want to. So point is, we've created it, it's all here. So a couple things I want to go through in these pieces that you'll want to check out is we're going to do a guide to buyer representation. So I like to start there because many agents who've been in the business for a long time, you have a listing presentation. Listing presentations were always normal for agents, like to show up and show your value on a presentation, through a presentation, because we've asked the seller to commit to us for a long time, that you're hiring us to do this job. We have, say, 6 months to do it, and we expect to get paid for that. So we're asking the seller to give us a long-term commitment, which is why we needed a listing presentation. Well, as of last year, now we're basically doing the same thing for a buyer, which means you should also have a buyer presentation, so that, again, we're asking the buyer to make a long-term commitment with us. So this is our guide to buyer representation. We have a Florida version as well that we've taken out some of the promises of fiduciary duty. But I want to show you what makes this presentation different. So this presentation is designed that somebody calls you, they've been referred to you to buy a house, or it could be a cold lead. You invite them into the office and say, I have a short presentation to show you how I will work with you over the coming weeks and months. And so the first few pages are about you and the brokerage. Of course, you could change all of this. All of this is customizable. It then goes into the 10-step buying process. Now, what is unique about this presentation is some agents get really uncomfortable talking about how they're going to get paid on the transaction, that the buyer has to commit to them to pay a certain percentage. And so we embed this right from the very start because we don't want to make it a big deal. So the very first thing, the very first section of the 10 steps is evaluation, consultation, and representation. It then talks about, do I actually need a buyer agent and why do I need a buyer agent? And then it goes into how agents are paid. So if you're newer to the business, go through this whole slide series because if you can articulate this, people are going to be super comfortable signing a buyer agent agreement with you. So it then talks about the buyer rep contract, what's in it. So you'll see what your realtor agrees to as part of this contract. And it also lets them know what you're agreeing to, what the customer has to agree to. And then we recommend putting an actual picture. You're going to share with them the actual agreement within the slides. So just do a screen snag of the actual contract so you can go through it with them. Not a big deal. That's step one of the presentation. And then of course you're going to make a big deal about the fact that of course we're going to ask the seller to contribute. So the seller will contribute a piece of will most likely contribute towards your buyer agent commission, and this is how we ask for that. Step 2, determining a price range. And we talk about mortgage options and shopping for a rate and pre-approval, mortgage insurance. Step 3, evaluating communities. Step 4, shopping for a home. This one is very important. Now, one of the things I like to help agents think differently about buyer presentations and seller presentations. One of the most important things to remember about a buyer presentation and a seller presentation is that these are checklists. And there's a wonderful book by Atul Gawande called The Checklist Manifesto. And basically the premise of that book says that anything that you have a checklist to in life, you will be very successful at. What happens when you have a checklist, and this is a checklist, your presentation is the checklist of important things that you need to articulate to your client. So the great thing about having a checklist is that, number one, it's not static. So you could change your checklist over time. So let's say, for example, you do a transaction and something goes wrong, or you sign a buyer contract with somebody and something goes wrong through the process. All that means is go back and fix the checklist, fix your presentation so that never happens again. Well, one of the things that typically can happen to an agent is that the buyer goes and buys a house with another agent. Oftentimes this is due to sites like Zillow. So if you're not having a conversation with buyers who you're signing a buyer contract with, talking to them about Zillow, then I guarantee you that you're losing business to Zillow each year. You're losing buyers if you're not talking about Zillow in your presentation. So this is one of those things that can go wrong. So let's build it into the presentation so there's no reason for that to happen. So all you're going to say to the buyer is one of the things that often happens to first-time home buyers is they think that the best place to go get information about new houses on the market is Zillow. Here's what I want you to know about that. Please don't shop on Zillow. For number one, their search is not a real-time search. What that means is there's a strong possibility that you're gonna go on to Zillow and fall in love with your dream home that went under agreement last week. So I don't want you shopping for houses that might not be there. So stay off of Zillow. By the way, you have to have alternative place for them to search for real estate that's really good. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But most importantly for now, let's just make sure you're telling them to not go to Zillow, because it's not a real-time search. I don't want you to fall in love with a house that doesn't exist. Secondly, Zillow, you cannot narrow your search. So you can't do very refined searches on Zillow. Why is that? That's by design, by the way, because Zillow is not in the business of finding somebody their dream house. Zillow is in the business of having this massive array of real estate for people to look at, because they're in the business of capturing names and email addresses that they can resell to people who sign up for Zillow. So, you have to have an alternative. So this says, what you're going to say to your buyer is, number one, it's not a real-time search. You can't narrow your search. I'm going to give you a tool. I'm a huge advocate of Real Scout, and Real Scout's going to allow you to have a very refined search. Also, oftentimes people think that if I go to Zillow and I contact the agent on Zillow, that I'm going to get a better deal on the house because I'm going straight through the listing agent. Well, two pieces of that are misinformation. Number one, they're not going to get the listing agent. We know that because people sign up to be the Zillow agent for the marketplace. So they're not going to get the listing agent. Zillow just made it look like that agent was the listing agent, but it's not the listing agent. Secondly, it's not a good idea for a buyer to work directly with the listing agent anyways, because that listing agent works directly for the seller. Their fiduciary responsibility is to the seller, not to the buyer, which means they're most likely not going to get the best deal on the house. So also for sellers, estimates are highly inaccurate. And most importantly, you could say to the buyer, the last thing you need during a home search, like this is the most important search of your life, is to be inundated with sales calls from strangers. That's mortgage people, that's real estate people who will inundate you and call you and bug you because you clicked on something on Zillow. I'm going to give you a nice clean way to do a search that's accurate. You can narrow your search down and you're not going to get inundated with sales calls. So just so you guys all know, as agents, this is one of the most important slides in your buyer presentation. This is one of those check boxes. So like, okay, I'm not going to lose this buyer to Zillow. No. So you got to keep this piece. Also, we lose people sometimes to visiting open houses. So we want to talk to the buyer about what to do when they're visiting an open house. Make sure you let the agent know if you're going to an open house that you're represented, so that you don't put yourself in a pickle where you now are represented by multiple agents. What to do when you see an off-market property. Again, this is all to prevent issues down the road with your new buyer. We're going to educate them through this buyer presentation. Then goes into property due diligence, pricing and offer strategy, what to do if there's a bidding war. Next, writing the offer, what to do if the offer is rejected, what to do if it's accepted. Then we talk about all the different inspections that are available, what to do if there's too many repairs. You can discuss the ability to get a home warranty for some of those items. Appraisal and mortgage conditions. What is an appraisal? How to prevent mortgage declines. Again, an important checklist on this buyer presentation, like, hey, as a reminder, don't buy a car, don't go finance furniture, even though they say it's free. It's going to show up on your credit report and can affect your credit. Co-signing, don't co-sign anything for anybody. Don't move money between accounts without talking to the mortgage people. Don't deposit huge sums of money without talking to the mortgage people. Do not change jobs. Do not quit a job. And do not decide that you're not going to pay a bill because of whatever reason. All these things are, we are practicing prevention or preventing people from being their own worst enemy. Okay, we could talk about homeowners insurance, then we talk about the closing, the final walkthrough, closing documents, and that's it. This is all meant for you. Oh, by the way, we put in a slide as well about, since we are realtors, I'm an advocate of the realtor organization. We've put in a slide that specifically talks about why we support the realtor organization. So that's the buyer presentation. As you can see, it's not fluff. In other words, it's not like a presentation that's just really pretty to make people feel comfortable. It's full of value. So that's the buyer presentation. I also wanted to show you, I mean, there's a listing presentation on there as well. Let's pull up a quick listing presentation. And all of these are 100% customizable. Let's see. There's several buyer presentations as well, as I mentioned, if you're interested in sustainability and high performance homes, we have both buyer and listing presentations for those as well. Let me pull up a listing presentation so you could see the gist of that. And then I'm going to give you some things to start writing down. We said you're going to write down 5 to 10 items that you're going to execute on after today's program. I'll start giving you some of those in a minute before we move on to the next section. Okay, so this is the listing presentation. All of this is customizable as well, but there was a couple things. Most important, what I wanted to show right at the beginning of this presentation is it kind of outlines all the things a real estate agent does, like, and how much time it takes. So it kind of breaks down and says, these are all the things a great real estate agent does, and the total amount of time spent on getting a listing sold. And it's just a reminder for them that you're paid a percentage of the sale, but that percentage is significantly lower than what they would pay if they were paying you by the hour. It would be significantly higher because of all the work, the little fine details. So that piece is kind of just a reminder for people of all the stuff you do, because great real estate agents make it look so easy. That's why so many people get into the business. They're like, wow, that's I just put a property on the market and it sells and I make $10,000. That's it. All of you guys know, like, that is far from the truth. There's so much detail and work and everything that's involved. So we tried to outline it here. But the idea is that you go through this whole presentation and make it your own. Think about what your value proposition is and you work that right into the pieces. This is a beautiful piece. It's designed to showcase value. It's designed to showcase the amount of hard work a real estate agent does, and it's designed to get people to price properly. Because especially in the changing market, the key to success, we're going back to where we were several years ago. Like, you're gonna list properties that just aren't gonna sell. So this listing presentation kind of has all of that mixed in. Okay, so that's an overview. We spent the first hour just focusing on the marketing pieces available. Any of you can go download these in Canva and start working on them. As soon as you open it in the Canva template, it's your document. Next, I want to just point out a couple things that you should put on your list, your to-do list of work that you should be getting done. If you don't have a buyer presentation, that's part one. Every agent needs a buyer presentation in the new world of real estate. If you don't have one, pick one out here and go work on it and create one. Number 2, you need a listing presentation. Do you have a great listing presentation that when people come in, they're 100% going to feel really comfortable with you because you've articulated the value you bring to the table? Number 3, you need a buyer package, a seller package, and an investor package. These are packages that you have, you get a folder for each package, and you put in some of the key pieces that we went through today. If it's a buyer package, you might put in a buyer guide, a brochure about the company. If you're a LAER, we already created your brochure, your resume. You could put in, there's all kinds of other cool pieces here that you could pick from. So one of my favorites, let's see if I can find it here. There's some cool Monopoly pieces. That's weird. Sergio, are there pieces missing?
No, it's there. You missed it. You gotta scroll
I
down.
did.
Yeah.
All right.
You went past it a couple
All
times.
right, I went too fast. I'm gonna.
There it is.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like this one is the buyer monopoly board. This is just a flyer that shows the buying process in as a monopoly board. So we have one of these for buyers and one for sellers. Point is, there's all kinds of these little cool pieces that you can incorporate into your buyer package. You should have a seller package, which would have a seller guide, maybe the seller monopoly board piece, your LAER brochure, your resume, and there's other cool pieces such as the vendor preferred vendor list is really cool. Of course, you have to update it with your vendors. Same with an investor package. So in my opinion, there should be 3 packages that are all done. And some of you will say, okay, I'll do a package when I have a client. Forget that. When you have your packages complete and your buyer presentation complete and your seller presentation complete, when all these are complete, in your own mind, you feel really good and you feel open for business. And that energy goes out to the universe and you start attracting business. When you have pieces that are not complete, like your buyer package, and you say, I'll just do it when I get a customer, you're setting yourself up for failure because you're not ready for business and you know you're not ready for business, and your energy tells that to the world. So you won't attract business the same way in which you would attract business if you had all these pieces already done. So your buyer presentation, your seller presentation, and then your 3 packages, your buyer package, your seller package, your investor package. I say to have 10 of each complete so that these are potential energy. Once that package is complete, it's potential. It's waiting to turn into a sale. It is, that package in and of itself is energy, potential energy waiting for business. And I promise you, it won't take long for the universe to align with that energy and present you with an opportunity for a buyer or a seller. So that was just under one link, and that was all under marketing, branding, and presentations, under guides, presentations, brochures. Next button here, we have a whole page of NAR settlement resources. I'm not going to click on it. I feel like you guys already know all the changes and stuff like that, but if by chance you're stuck, and maybe you haven't done a transaction in a while and you want to see how the forms changed, we wrote a very comprehensive book on exactly how all the forms changed for all the states that we do business in. There's also some resources there, like if you need some documents that explain to a seller why they should pay a buyer agent fee, we have some nice articles there that you could go download. As well, if you want some nice pieces as to why a buyer should have a buyer agency, a buyer agent, and not go unrepresented, there's some nice pieces there as well. The LAER social media assistant, I'm going to have Sergio go through that in a little bit. If you're a LAER agent and you ever need a special marketing request, you want us to design something for you, or oftentimes agents want like a market update. I want to know what's happening in Westford, Mass, so that I could post it to social media. That's under special marketing requests. Same with like a 4-page brochure and a new listing. Anything you want, you can get over at this special marketing request. If we don't already have it, that's why we don't get tons of requests, because we have created so much. So anything that agents need, we've pretty much created, but sometimes there's something that you might need. We also have a great button here of open house resources. This is like open house sign-in sheets, little signs that you could put around a house, like a welcome sign to put around the house. I like this feedback survey. This one's going to become bigger because the market's shifting. Let's say you're doing an open house and you typically use the old-fashioned sign-in sheet. So like people come in and they're just giving you their name and phone number and are you working with an agent? Well, what if you turned your open house into an opportunity to discuss a pricing strategy with your seller? We're going to need these moving forward because we're seeing price reductions every day in every single market we're in. So this is a cool open house feedback form where instead of the traditional sign-in book, ask each person to fill this out so that when the house has been on the market for a month with no offers, you can go back to your seller and say, hey, we've got about 20 of these feedback sheets, and this is what people are saying. It doesn't have curb appeal, or it's a way to arm yourselves with great and useful information for the future. We also have, there's these little tags for if you wanted to give out a cute little gift at your open houses, you can give out microwave popcorn. And there's these cute little tags we created that say thanks for popping by. And we also have activity sheets for kids. I always think it's a good idea to have at your open house a little area sectioned off for the kids so that if families come through, that they can actually, the parents can look around without distraction. So we created like a little coloring, line coloring, little word search. They could design their own for sale sign or draw their perfect home, little maze. So you could print these out, have some crayons there and set them up at the kitchen table so the kids have something to do during an open house. So all of that stuff is under open house resources. If you're an agent that does commercial, we also have a commercial resource section. So we've had lots of agents transitioning some of their business, or at least adding an additional pillar to their business for commercial real estate. So this is, we have a commercial listing presentation, commercial offering memorandum, some LAER commercial logos, things like that, commercial valuation modeling, spreadsheets. Also, few other places. I'm going to avoid the signs, apparel, and marketing link for a minute because I'm going to come back to that later. Actually, I'm going to avoid a few of these for now. I'm going to come back to this second tier, third and fourth tiers of houses to go through a few additional items for marketing. But before I do that, I want to have our Chief Sustainability Officer chat, because I know Craig, many of you guys know Craig because he travels the country. I saw that he's now like famous. I saw was it North Carolina?
Yeah.
Yes, North Carolina governor gave him a shout out for all the work he's doing. That's why I know most of you guys probably know Craig anyways from his travels with the National Association of Realtors. But we're lucky to call him our own Chief Sustainability Officer, and he always has awesome stuff to share with us on the sustainability front, which is now kind of like something you have to get into for your business. So what do you got, Craig?
Yeah, and if you're not into it for your business, which it's not for everybody, obviously, but then I mean, I'd like to get your perspective on this too, Stace, but there's enough there in the marketplace with this stuff right now. Is I'm gonna share some resources and some tools for you to understand that. But if you've got a client that has made investments to make their home perform better than the average home from an energy efficiency or water efficiency, or it's a more resilient property, I feel like and you're not knowledgeable and competent in this part of the business, would really encourage you to think about your client's best interest, right? And that could be partnering with a green designated agent. We have a ton of them at LAER. I can work with you on the side. There's all kinds of different ways that you can do this, but every team needs a green designated agent. And I think, with homeowners that have made these investments and expecting them to be realized as equity at the point of sale, which is definitely a possibility even in this marketplace, they deserve an agent that's knowledgeable and competent in this space. So either refer that business out, I feel, Stace, or enter into a partnership with someone that is competent so that you're serving the client appropriately.
I 100% agree. And by the way, if you're going on a listing presentation, I don't care what company you're at, and the property has all kinds of sustainable features. I mean, I'm green designated, but even if I was going as a green designated agent, if I was going on a listing presentation, I would 100% happily pay you a referral fee to say I have you on my team, and that he's going to consult with us through the whole transaction so that we understand what exactly the property has, how to sell it. I think it's a no-brainer, but that's me.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way, obviously. So I'm sharing with you now exactly what Stacy was sharing. And I'm going to just scroll down here to the toolbox, the agent toolbox right here. And you can see that middle house in the top column of agent toolbox is sustainability. And I'm just going to give you a few things when you click on that so that, again, hopefully one of the 5 takeaways or 10 takeaways from this is to at least start to look at this as part of the marketplace and part of your value. And Stacey said, we change stuff on here all the time. This is a good example of this. Prior to the meeting, I was on with Sergio and I asked him to add the Intro to Sustainability and Resiliency course that's right here. And if there's one easy takeaway, I want you to go here and click on this, and it takes you to a course that we developed, NAR developed in 2022, 2023. That's free. It's online. You can take it in your own time and, at your kitchen table, you can, in the office, wherever it is. It probably takes about, 2 to 3 hours to get through the whole thing. You could do that over the course of the month. You could do it over the course of a week. You could do it in one night. But this is a really good intro course to start to have you understand the value of this intersection of real estate and sustainability and what it means to you, your business, and definitely your clients, to consumers out there that are more and more engaged in this stuff, it seems like every day and for a lot of reasons. So if there's one simple thing, Stacy, that I would ask folks to take a look at to add to their checklist, their accountability checklist that you've been suggesting from this presentation, that would be it. It's simple. It's one of the simplest things on this whole list. Now, there's a lot more details in here in terms of all the resources that we've got in this sustainability toolkit, including, as Stacy said, presentations for agents that are extremely competent and knowledgeable in this part of the marketplace, which is an agent that's gone through the NAR Green designation, which is a full 2-day class, costs typically $300. Agents have invested time, energy, and money to take this class, and we have built for you presentations for home buyers that are engaged in this stuff, and certainly home sellers that have made these improvements on their properties. So all of this is right here. Again, it's in Canva. You know, if you're with another brokerage, you can get rid of all the LAER logos in there, add whatever company that you're with or whatever company you're merging with these days. You know, you can change everything in here. If there's slides, you know, there's a lot of slides in this stuff. There's a lot of information. It's probably too much information for people. So go ahead and get rid of some of it, or use one of the presentations in the high performance buyer presentation to add to your typical buyer presentation. There's all kinds of different ways to use all of this information. So I just want to make sure that you know that that is there as well. Again, just a quick look at some of the resources that are in here. The Green Building Registry is interesting, right? So this is a registry. It's created by a company called Earth Advantage, and I live in Melrose, Massachusetts. So I'm going to just click in Melrose, Massachusetts. We have about 6,000, 7,000 single-family homes in the little community of Melrose, which is about a mile wide by 2 miles long. And you can see, look up here in the top left, there are 692 homes that are already included in the Green Building Registry. About 10% of Melrose's homes in our little community. And I can scroll down on these properties. For instance, I can scroll down on mine. This is my home. It's got a HERS score of 59. It's Pearl certified gold, right? So that's interesting information if you're listing one of these homes. And hopefully you all right now are pulling up the Green Building Registry and taking a look at your own specific community. Wherever you are in the United States of America, we're seeing more and more homes pop up in here. But I do want to highlight one specific thing from Massachusetts agents that deal with MLS PIN, MLS Property Information Network in Shrewsbury, which is the primary MLS in Massachusetts. I'm going to click on the home across the street. In fact, I can look out my window right now and take a look at the solar PV array on this homeowner's home. Click on this, and you can see it's got a renewable energy improvement on here. And if I click Show Details, it gives me details about that system. It was installed in 2017. It's a 6.08 kilowatt system, KW system. It's estimated that it's producing 9,477 kilowatts of energy annually, and that it's seller owned. Why is that important? Because in MLS PIN, in the power production field, when you're entering a listing with solar PV, it asks for those 4 attributes for the system. Who owns the system, the year it was installed, the size of the system, and the estimated annual production. So Green Building Registry has homes back through now 2023 with solar PV installations on them. So if you're listing a home with solar PV, you definitely want to go here, plug in the information so you can fill out the multiple listing service appropriately. We are, obviously agents that are required to be competent in this stuff. We are the agents that should know how to fill out our MLS fields. So I definitely recommend that you take a look at this. It goes down to the property, who it gives you the address of the property. We're not dummies. We can usually find out who owns that property. So there's a lot of different ways to be able to use this quickly evolving tool out there. Just wanted to highlight that to you all. Now I'm back hopefully on, let me just make sure that I went back here to, to the sustainability toolkit. So, the Green Building Registry, again, right here, Intro to Sustainability and Resilience. If you're going to do one thing right now, check that out. If you were to do another thing, I would say read this article, Selling and Valuing High Performance Homes, because there is a distinct way to value homes with high performance features. And the valuation process, believe it or not, is in fact different. it's not just about comps in terms of high performance homes. It's also using an income approach. For instance, for a home with host owned solar PV, when the homeowner owns that solar system on the rooftop, it's actually producing income for the homeowner. And we can value that using a net present value tool. We can use something called the PV value tool. It's all in this article, Selling and Valuing the High Performance Homes, to add contributory value on top of the comps for that. So let's say you had a home that comped out at 700,000. It's got a solar PV system on it that was installed in 2017, 25-year useful life on that system. So there's another 17 years of useful life on it. Maybe that's an additional 25K in contributory value using an income approach, right? Maybe these days, because the market is in fact softening, you're still listing that $700,000 home at $699. But knowing that if you know this process of high performance valuation, you've got an extra 25K in your pocket in case that agreed upon price between the seller and the buyer doesn't comp out necessarily. Now, by requiring that we have a competent appraiser on board with this as well, you can have that 25K of additional value, and it can really save transactions out there. This is another little piece. Pearl Certification is one of our great partners. We just did Tuesday, Stacey, a great presentation with Pearl because they're releasing a map. It's in beta testing right now, and our agents were some of the first in the United States to learn about this. But Pearl is creating a scoring system for every home in the United States of America. And I wouldn't be surprised if that mapping system eventually appears on RPR or on Zillow, for instance, right? So we know that Zillow, I'm going to try to shift this. Let's see if I can pull this off here. Are you seeing a Zillow listing now, Stace?
Yes, I could see it.
Yeah, okay, good. So this is the home in Melrose, right? All active listings in Zillow now. If you scroll down, you'll see that there's a climate risk section that's out there, right? And don't be surprised if you're in an open house and people are looking at Zillow, buyers are looking at Zillow, if they're suddenly starting to ask questions about what does this 6 out of 10 flood factor mean? What does 6 out of 10 wind factor mean? Heat factor, 5 out of 10. What does all of that mean, right? So I would encourage you to check this out. Check out what's going on with these active listings on Zillow. You can click on these individual features and it'll give you information about what's going on with that. But even more importantly than that, if we go back to the seller guide that we have, you'll see that there's actually a script here for realtors to talk about climate risk and be able to address some of the issues that pop up with some of these systems that are out there that we're seeing on Zillow. First Street Foundation, just for everybody's information about what's going on here, First Street Foundation created a tool that is featured on Zillow, as you can see, that looks forward. It uses predictive analytics 15 and 30 years forward to anticipate risk for potential buyers on there. I think that's great that Zillow's done that, but I think a typical realtor that sees this stuff and gets asked a question and they're not expecting it at an open house is going to be flummoxed a little bit. So we actually have a script for you in terms of how to deal with that issue, right? And I'll just go through the script, because I've memorized it, obviously, in terms of dealing with this issue. Thanks so much for the question, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. We really appreciate it. And this is, I know we're seeing more and more buyers in the marketplace, understandably be worried about their investment, particularly with a changing climate moving forward. I just want to let you know that this particular tool that Zillow has looks 15 or 30 years forward in terms of what the potential risk is. I would be happy to send you, for instance, the city of Melrose has done a great climate vulnerability assessment and climate action plan that the city's engineers and stakeholders have put together to look at potential risk and how they're going to protect our community. Would you, just as a as a home buyer, I think I'd want that important information to see what the city's plans are. Would you like me to send that to you? Make sure your email address is clearly spelled out in the sign-in sheet. And more importantly, because I certainly understand these risks, do you have a buyer's agent helping you buy a home? Because I certainly understand these kinds of risks, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about them. I think I have resources that can help you with your own due diligence if you're concerned about this kind of stuff. So that's kind of the script, how it's laid out. We have this stuff available for you in our toolkit is what it comes down to. There's a ton of other resources in here as well. The green appraisal addendum. So there are a whole list of appraisers. We've got about 10 of them in the state of Massachusetts that have gone through the valuation of sustainable buildings program that the Appraisal Institute offers. We can't pick a specific appraiser anymore because of the mortgage meltdown that happened in 2008. But we do have a right as a listing agent, if our seller asks us to do this, to demand a qualified appraiser. So if I've got a home with host-owned solar PV on the rooftop, I can demand a qualified appraiser, an appraiser that's gone through that valuation of sustainable buildings program that the Appraisal Institute offers. They know how to use things like the PV value tool and how to add contributory value on top of the comps that the typical appraiser will use. So there's a ton of information in here. Again, the easiest thing is to click on this button, Intro to Sustainability and Resiliency. Use that free tool that NAR has provided to give you a little intro for this. Then check out Selling and Valuing High Performance Homes. Check out the Green Building Registry to check out resources, check out the opportunities that are in your own marketplace to develop your own sphere of influence in this place. Check out the sustainability resources that we have, the listing and buyer presentations. There's some really great information in there as well. So there's a lot of stuff for you here if you want to open up this toolkit into your own business. Now, again, if you don't, you can see that there are plenty of agents that do care about this stuff, whether they're at LAER or at other brokerages out there. And my feeling is, please do the best thing for your clients, right? There's a process that's involved here for listing high performance homes, for making sure the equity is realized, the seller has invested in to improve their home. We can take charge of that. We can control that in the transaction, which if you get to the listing presentation that we have, it's really about how a knowledgeable and competent agent controls the process of proper valuation of these homes. So again, if you don't have that knowledge and competence, if you're uncomfortable with this, if you're not really fluent in this part of the business, please do your client a favor and at least partner up with someone, or perhaps even refer that business out to an agent that really has gone through the process of understanding the valuation and marketing of these homes. That's it for me, Stace.
All right, awesome stuff. And I will definitely reinforce that 10 years ago, 5 years ago even, you could have, the biggest reason for getting a green designation was you could create a niche for yourself. But I feel like while you still can make a niche for yourself, I think today the biggest reason for getting a green designation and becoming educated in this front is so that you are not a liability to your customer, to yourself, and to the brokerage. The world we live in, you definitely have to protect, your job is to protect your customer. And so by not understanding the nuances of this stuff, you absolutely become a liability. So definitely start with the short, easy way go get some basic information on sustainability, but then dig in and get the green designation. It's an awesome class, and I promise you it'll end up creating additional revenue for you, because one day you'll show up at a listing appointment and somebody's going to ask you a question, and you're going to be better equipped and prepared to answer that question than another agent who has no clue and doesn't know how to answer. So go get the green designation.
100%, Stace. I mean, and I just threw in another piece that I'm going to be teaching at the end of the month, October 27th, Greater Boston Association of Realtors. It's also open for members that aren't members of GBAR. But I created a course with some funding from Massachusetts Clean Energy Center several years ago, a very popular course called Selling the Sun, which is all about listing homes with solar panels on the rooftop, how you do that, how you deal with the contributory value piece of this. It's 2 continuing ed credits in Massachusetts, and it's free for GBAR members. So hopefully I'll see you online in that class on October 27th as well.
All right, good stuff. Thank you, Craig.
Yep.
All right, next up, I am going back to, I'm going to reshare my screen. There we go. And we are back at LAER Agent Services because we didn't quite finish the marketing section. So a couple things I want to do is, first off, I want to go to signs, apparel, and print marketing. If you're a LAER agent, number one, there's lots of places you can order LAER stuff here. So LAER signs, apparel, business cards, all kinds of stuff, name tags, apparel. But down at the very bottom here, there's some really important sites for you to check out. Specifically, and by the way, I don't get paid on any of these, so I don't want you to think I'm promoting these companies because there's an interest for me in it. The interest is in helping you grow your business. So anytime you can find a company or a program that is set it and forget it, you should sign up for it. Because one of the greatest challenges of this business is the ability to scale. Because you start in real estate and it's all you. It's always going to be all you. And you want to be able to make it so that you can keep growing your business year after year. That's very easy in the beginning because you're not doing a lot of business. But when you're doing 30 transactions a year, how do you keep growing? The only way to do it is to leverage systems so that you can keep growing. So these are all systems you can leverage. The first one is MLS mailings. So I like mailings personally because I think there's less competition. When you get your mail every day, a lot of people are not paying for like a postcard, for example. So in other words, it's like you can almost be a billboard in somebody's house. So I'm a big fan of doing just listed, just sold postcards because number one, it lets the people within a community know that you already have a pool of buyers for a particular marketplace because you've already been marketing there. Anyways, MLS mailings is not your typical just listed, just sold postcard. The actual postcard is a typical just listed, just sold postcard, like the ones you see here. But the way that they automate everything is not typical. They're fabulous because they hook into your MLS. So you set it up once, you hook it up so that it reads your MLS, and you tell the system, every time I list a new property, I would like 200 postcards to go to the surrounding houses. And every time I sell a property, I want 200 postcards to go to all of the properties in the area. So the system will read your MLS and see that you just listed a property and will automatically send your postcards, which is really cool because while it's super easy to get these out at the beginning of your career, as you start doing more business, it gets harder and harder to find the time to do the little things like this. And by the way, they're not super expensive. They're the same pricing you would get at any postcard place. So to send 100 postcards, if you're doing smaller postcards or standard postcards, it's $105. If you're doing jumbo, it's $136.27. So that's mlsmailings.com. It's set it and forget it. Next is the personal marketing company. The personal marketing company, they do all kinds of stuff, all kinds of mailers and stuff like that. But there's one in particular that I love. Let's see. I think it's, I always click on the wrong one. Nope, it's not this one. They do, I do like some of these other programs they have. For example, you could do expired and for sale by owner campaigns. In other words, what's cool about that is we have lots of agents that go in and pull all the expired listings each day. And instead of just sending one card to an expired listing, you could have an 8 postcard series for $10. So for each expired listing, imagine that expired homeowner gets 8 mailings from you, where the average real estate agent maybe is doing 1 mailer to them. They're going to get 8 from you over a series of days. So that's a cool product that they recently added, but that is not the coolest product that they have. Let's see. Nope. There we go. All right, this is it. This is when you go to their page, it's the automated client follow-up. This program is for $48. So this is a one-time charge of $48. They do a 5-year follow-up campaign for your clients. This is especially good for after you close on a transaction. Because typically what happens, and there's statistics that prove this through the National Association of Realtors. The National Association of Realtors has stats that say when they interview buyers after they have purchased a home, a really high number of them, like 90%, say they would work with their same agent again because they liked working with the agent. But the real number is that only about 11% of buyers use their agent again the second time they're ready to buy a house. And why is that? In my opinion, it's because many real estate agents are not very good at follow-up. So what happens is you close on a transaction and it's all happy, you bring a closing gift, the people love you, you take pictures, etc. And nothing else happens. You don't stay in touch with them. Why? Because you're moving on to the next transaction. These clients who you just closed on are likely not going to be buying a house anytime soon. So many agents just kind of forget about them. They kind of move off to the wayside because you're focusing on the people that are ready now. But these people that just closed on a house know, like, and trust you. They love you right now. And on average, those people are going to buy another house in the next 5 years. So how do we create an insurance policy that we don't lose that customer over the next 5 years? So in 5 years, they call you because they're ready to buy another house and sell this house. This is the insurance policy. Basically, you pay $48 and this company will send mailers to that client for a 5-year period. And it's all different mailers. Some of them are magazines, some of them are postcards, some of them are letters. But basically, all of them have your photo, your logo, your contact information. The price was one charge of $48. That's pretty amazing. So I think for $48, it's a nice way to ensure that the customer knows you didn't forget them when they go to sell this house to buy another one. Third, Wise Pelican. Huge fan of Wise Pelican for a few reasons. One, they have a really nice quality postcard. They do postcards, flyers, brochures. And what I like about Wise Pelican is you just type in your MLS number. So if you have a new listing, you want brochures, you type in your MLS number and it'll create whatever you want, your marketing piece, your brochure, etc. So nice quality mailings as well. Yellow Letters Complete. Ooh, I wonder if they're gone. I've had that link there forever. Yellow Letters Complete is a company that does little yellow letters. So sometimes short sale companies use them. So it looks like you are sending like a little handwritten yellow letter to somebody. But specifically what I love them for is if you want to send bulk professional personal note cards, you can do that. Okay, Sergio's saying he's getting the same error. We've had that link forever and I don't know if they're out of business, but we'll have to research. I loved that company specifically for the handwritten notes.
No, they're not. I'm gonna send you and Sergio a link to update that one.
Same company? Is it Yellow Letters Complete?
They changed the name to Yellow Letter HQ.
We'll look at it because there was another company that competed with them. We'll research it before our next one. Okay, next is RSP Data Driven Marketing. This is also a cool print marketing company. What I like about this particular one is for like Florida uses this company a lot because in Florida, we have lots of massive homeowners associations, and you could do these really cool newsletters. So like you do a monthly newsletter to your farm within a particular complex, homeowners complex, and it's all branded to you, but it pulls all the data. So it shows the homeowner all the other sales within the complex. It's a really cool product, and that is RSP Direct Marketing. Okay, so those are some great pieces. I also wanted to make sure everybody saw the ROAR report. There's two different types of newsletters in our business. One is email newsletters, one is print newsletters. Our marketing team creates once a month a marketing piece called the ROAR report. This is a newsletter for you. It's a print newsletter. You can print it on 8.5 by 11, which is 4 pages, or 11 by 17, which is bigger paper that you fold. And it's a newsletter to send out to your clients, to include in your packages, to give out at open houses. Also, so we change this up every month. We put these big red circles on there so you know what you have to change, like to update the phone numbers and stuff, so it's personal to you. But you could change out whatever you want. You can, for example, feature a vendor that you work with a lot, maybe a mortgage company, and write an article or put an advertisement. But this is a cool little newsletter that agents use just to stay in touch with their sphere, to include in their packages, to give out at open houses. Also, if you're in the Algorwin program, we talk a lot about vendor partnerships and becoming like the mayor of your city through interviews, like going out and interviewing the guy that just opened the local pizza shop or the dog grooming place, going out and interviewing these vendors and writing a short little article that you feature in your ROAR report. And then you bring the ROAR report over to that dog groomer or pizza place and ask if you can leave 20 of them because you've featured their company within the newsletter. Super valuable way to make contacts within your marketplace. And I've shared this before. If I go to the hardware store down the street from my house, there's a LAER agent that has their ROAR report right on the front counter of that hardware store. Same concept, like just becoming an expert within the communities by showcasing vendors within your marketplace, restaurants, CPAs, dentists. Just recognize them in your newsletter and make connections with other business owners who will probably refer you business, and then become a local resource for them. Okay, next there's a link here if you're a LAER agent with all of our logos and other images. Let's just say you're creating your own pieces and you wanted to access our logos, you can get them there. And next, we have seasonal pop-by tags. Many of you who are taking our Algorwin Business Growth System program, we recommend you getting out each week to visit past customers, friends, family, and just to bring a small item of value to remind people you're still doing real estate. These are cute pop-by tags. So for example, we're in fall. So let's click on this one. These are little pop-by tags that say, are you deciding to buy or sell a house? And you just put them on like apple cider, little packets of cider, for example. So they're just cute little tags so that you don't have to do the extra work when you want to get out and visit people. And you'll see we have tons and tons of pop-by tags here so that you can just pair these up with cute little giveaways for clients. All right, we have two other houses for you to visit here. The first one is the listing description generator. This will help you write a really good description for your new listing. Of course, you can go on to a ChatGPT and do the same thing. ChatGPT can get clunky. So if you want to fill this out and just answer some questions about the house, it will automatically email you a description for your new listing. It takes about 2 minutes to fill this out, and then it will send you a really good listing description. It does not go to us, just so you know, it goes directly to you. So one thing I say whenever you're using any AI listing description generator, it's super important to double check it because you want to make sure there's no fair housing violations. AI doesn't know fair housing violations. So you want to make sure that it's not using words it shouldn't use, things like that. So always double check your listing descriptions if you're using an AI generator. Second, agent bio generator. If you've been at LAER for a while, you probably know I'm a nut about people's bios. And we've embedded this into a lot of our training classes. It's part of the Algorwin program. It's important to have a really good bio when people Google you. So we always say it's part of the Algorwin program. One of the things you should do regularly is Google yourself. Google your name and real estate and see what comes up. Typically, what is going to come up is your company bio. Your company website with a bio, hopefully, your personal agent website, whatever bio's on there, plus realtor.com, Zillow.com, and homes.com give every agent a free page on their website. And you should make sure that's updated as well with a bio and a professional photo. So in my opinion, most real estate agents don't take the time to write a good bio because they don't know what to write. This will help you just ask some questions and it will write a bio for you. This just gets sent to you. So if you're a LAER agent and you want us to update your bio on our website, you should go do this bio generator. This system will email you a new bio, then tweak it once you receive it. And then if you want us to use that on the website, just email it to happyagent@laerrealty.com and we will utilize it on our site. So make sure that you have a professional bio wherever a consumer is going to see you, because we live in a day and age where the first thing people will do when they meet somebody who's new to them is they're going to Google you. And we want to make sure that first page of a Google search looks amazing. All right, so we're almost at the end of the marketing section, and we only have about an hour left, but we haven't heard from Sergio yet. And Sergio has a quick presentation on two things. Number one, our new Zara marketing platform. This is only for LAER agents, but it's a quick presentation so you know what you have access to. And then after that, we've got another hour of really good content to share with you guys. So I'm going to hand it over for a few minutes to Sergio.
All right, thanks, Stacy. I'm gonna share my screen.
Mhm.
All right, so I'm gonna go over a couple of things. Like Stacy said, these are just available to our LAER agents. One of them is our Zara platform. So we recently switched over to this Zara platform. We were using Canva. You know, we still use Canva for a lot of things. It's a great tool. But Zara allows us to basically use a system like Canva, but that is also connected directly with our MLSs. Not just the Massachusetts MLS, but all of the different states that LAER is in. Now, as a LAER agent, you receive access to this platform. About a month ago, we sent out emails with information on how to access your Zara account. If you still haven't signed in, let us know. You can write into happyagents@laerrealty.com. We can make sure that you're able to sign in. You can also check our YouTube channel. We did some training last month covering the basics on how to sign in, how to edit some of the documents. So that's youtube.com/layer training. You can find it there. And also, I have an upcoming training this month on the 14th, Tuesday the 14th at 12:30. You can join us. Same link, laerzoom.com. So Tuesday, if you can't catch that, again, youtube.com/layer training. So the Zara platform is a design platform. One of the features is these marketing bundles that we send out. So anytime your listing has a status change, when you have a new listing or it changes over to under agreements or sold, you'll receive an email. It looks kind of like this, where you will receive a link with your address, with the marketing materials. You click on it and it'll send you over to Zara. Once you sign in, you'll be able to go in and edit those marketing materials and then use them. Let me give you a live demo of what that looks like. So I did hold on, let me grab that. I ran a playbook, and that's what it's called. A playbook is, you can think of it as sort of a playlist of different marketing materials that is run by Zara. I did one for this listing. Now, these are run automatically for you when you have a status change, but you can always run one manually. All you need is the MLS number. It'll grab all of the pictures of your listing description, as well as your information. So for example, we have this listing. We have some social media pieces. And one great thing about Zara is you're able to connect your social media accounts to to Zara. So if you go to our profile here in this social media manager, you can connect your accounts. If you have Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, you just click on it and then add your information. Now for Facebook, you do need a Facebook page. It doesn't work with your personal profile. So if you find that you can't connect, make sure that you create a Facebook page first. Now, what you can do is once you have that Facebook page created, you connect it to Zara. And then if you still want to share it with your personal profile, you can share that post that you posted from your page to your personal profile. Now, it's really easy to edit all of these. It's just like Canva. So for example, I want to use this social media piece. We'll use this one here. Now, You can download it directly and use it as is, but you can always go into edit and it will open up the Zara editor. Now in here, you'll be able to change any of the design, right? So you can move anything around. You can switch over the photos. And if you notice, it actually brings in the listing photos automatically. Now, before with Canva, we would have to download all of the images, or if you got the images from your photographer, you'd have to download them from their site. This is connected directly to the MLS, so you're able to have access to all of the images. Because this is generated automatically, it grabs the first images as you uploaded them to the MLS, right? So for example, in this one, it's a lot of exterior images, but if you do want to feature some interior shots, you're able to grab them from this list of photos, and it's simple. It's just drag and drop. Let's say I want one of the kitchen as well. We can just drag and drop. I can change any of this text if I want to change the email address, the address, anything like that, I can switch over. Also, if you are in a team, you can switch out the logo. You just highlight the logo. You can click replace and then upload your own logo. Now, once I'm ready, I can click on download to download it as a PNG or JPEG or any of these formats. I can also click on share and it will ask me to share to social media. So I can click on any of these. If I click on, for example, Facebook, it will, well, I have a lot of pages that I've managed, but we'll click on this one. It will also give give you the option to add your caption. So what it will do is it'll grab that listing description and actually generate a caption for you using AI. So there's the caption, right? So it grabs in information about the property, the price, and then it also grabs in your own personal information, right? Your phone number, email. You can edit this however you want. If you want something different, you can always click on rewrite caption and it will run AI on it again. You can also write something yourself. You don't have to use the AI feature. And then once you have a caption that you like, you just click on post and it will post directly to your account. So as well as social media, we also feature flyers. So if we scroll down, again, the first ones are social media. We have this just listed flyer. You can use this as is, just click on download and print. Now you want to download and print, if you're printing at home, right, or in one of the offices, you can click this and it will download a PDF just like that. And you can print this out. If you are sending it out to print, you can click on this and it will download a PDF with crop marks. So sometimes if you accidentally click on that first one, you might see these crop marks. Just make sure that you click on print at office/home. Now, just like the social media images, we can click on edit and switch out any of the photos or text, even your own photo. You can adjust it within the frame. You can make it a little bigger if you'd like. And you can also grab more information. So on this left-hand side, if we click on real estate, we have your agent's information and then also listing information. So alongside the listing photos, and again, if you can't find the listing photos, if that doesn't pop out, you can click on real estate and then listing photos, click on all, and you'll see them. But we also have other information that's pulled in from the MLS about the number of bedrooms, a year built, all of that stuff that comes in from the MLS. And so it's that simple. So the next thing I'll go over very quickly is that we also have, alongside of these playbooks, which you can run manually, If you want to do, if you have a just sold one that you require, but you haven't changed the status yet, you can run it ahead of time by just clicking on generate. And all you need to give it is the MLS number. So I have this MLS number saved. You'll see that it pops up the right image. You want to choose the agent and then click next. It does take a while. It takes maybe 5-6 minutes for it to generate the full thing, but you will receive an email with your fully generated documents. Now you'll see those in this My Listings section. And so those are the playbooks. Now, alongside the playbooks, we also have templates. So a lot of the templates that you saw Stacy showcase with Canva, we're bringing them over to Zara, right? So stuff like the content for buyers, stuff for sellers, that's all being brought over. The branding package too for agents is all being brought over, and it will grab your information that you upload to Zara. Now with Zara, you do have a profile that you can edit. If you click on edit profile, you can add your photo. If you want to update your photo too, you don't have to come to us. You can just click on this update photo, update a new one. You can add your website information, links to your Facebook, Instagram, etc. And that will automatically generate anytime you generate one of these documents. Now, one of the important ones is the 4-page brochure. So before, you would click on a form to request a 4-page brochure, and we're always glad to do that. But with Zara, you can go into this template section, go to 4-page brochure, and just like the playbooks, you just give it the MLS number, right? It's going to open up in the editor. And once it loads, it will request the MLS number. So let's give it some time to load. There it is. I will paste in our MLS number. And again, grabs it right away. And you give it a minute to apply the photos and add it to the template itself. There it is. And now we have our 4-page brochure. So this 4-page brochure prints out on 11 by 17. And again, once you're in Zara, you're able to edit any of this information. So for example, this text could be a little bigger, and it's really easy just to click on the text box and increase the font size, right? And then any of these property photos, you're able to switch out by going to real estate, and then listing photos, and then we have all of the photos we have uploaded. In this case, our agent here uploaded a floor plan. You're also able to add that. You can just drag and drop just like that. Now you're able to zoom in and grab and extend things for any of our objects here. So, if you see that one of the images kind of crops out, you're able to adjust any of these. And then when you're ready, you just click on download. We can download this as a PDF. Now, when you download it as a PDF, it might give you some warnings about spelling. You can ignore them if you want, but you can also go back and fix them. And just like that, you have our 4-page brochure downloaded. Now we have this PDF, and then we can print out at any of our offices that have a copy machine that can print on 11 by 17. So that's Zara. That's just kind of scratching the surface. We're, again, constantly updating new templates as we get them up here. Check out the class that I'll be doing on the 14th, because I will go, further into sort of editing and sharing some of your designs. All right. So the second thing is our monthly social media program. So at the beginning of the month, so, on it was Wednesday, I think. I sent out an email, both an email and a text message with your social media for the month. So we create 6 to 8 social media pieces that cover 4 weeks of content. And then you also have access to our social media library, which you can kind of use alongside that content. That library has thousands of social media pieces we have done throughout the past 5, 6 years, covering a variety of subjects, buyers, sellers, holidays, Facebook covers, mindset, etc. It's pretty straightforward, but let me give you a demo of that. And we have a chat. Okay. Okay, so Tim had a question. I don't have a Facebook business page yet, but I do have a realtor Instagram. Uh, I recommend getting the Facebook business page because you're able to kind of connect both your Instagram and your Facebook to the same business account. It just makes it easier to kind of get it all connected. But yeah, you can write into Happy Agent. We can help you out with that. Okay, so the email looks just like this. We have links to Canva templates. We're still doing these in Canva. And even in Canva, you are also, especially if you have Canva Pro, you're able to use these. Actually, I'm not signed into Canva with this one. You're able to use these with the Pro version of Canva. And you can use a content planner with Canva where you can schedule out your content. Right. These are multi-image posts, right? So this is great, especially in Instagram, where you're able to kind of swipe over to the next image. Because these are in Canva, you can change out any of this stuff, any of the images. A lot of these do use Canva Pro. So if you do plan on using these, make sure that you at least try out Canva Pro. So alongside the images, we also give you suggested captions, right? You can just copy and paste. We have tons of content for the whole week. And then you can supplement this content. If we scroll up, we have our LAER Marketing Center. Under our social media library, we can go in. We have our different social media posts. So, for example, we have keys to buying and selling. Go back to our social media library. We have mindset and quotes. And now with these, you're able to go in. We have a lot of content. There is a see more button that you can really go through. But we also give you the option to filter this content. So for example, if you're looking for information for sellers, you can click on sellers. It'll just bring that up. But you can also do a search. So maybe you can do a search for first time home buyers, and it'll give you content that's related to first time home buyers. So definitely check that out. That also includes Canva templates, or you can just download the image itself, and then we have our suggested caption. And so that's it for me.
And Sergio, if somebody
Yes.
on Zara changes their photo, their agent photo, do they have to rerun the piece?
Yeah, it is recommended that you rerun the piece. It should change automatically. But if you see that you don't, you'll have to rerun it. Sometimes it grabs it from the MLS. So when you do run it, for example, if we do a playbook, like a just listed one, I still have my thing pasted here. Make sure that when you click on the agent name, you choose the one that has your email address on it, and you'll see your photo pop up, right? Inside of the document too, if you see that your photo doesn't appear or if the information is not right, you can go in and actually choose the agent. So within the MLS section, the real estate section, so it's going to open up. You have the option of choosing the agent, right? So real estate and then agent. You can type in the agent name. So we'll choose a motto. There it is. And you can hit apply and it'll apply that information. If you have any issues throughout the way, Zara has some pretty good support. There's a help button up here. If you click on help, they have a chat that you can use down here where you can type in and get some support. We're always able to help you too through happyagent@laerrealty.com. But they have a ton of articles as well, just like we have with our LAER GPS. But you can also get help by going to this chat and chatting with an actual person. This company is really great because we know the developers, we know the people that are working there. Not Zara, Canva's kind of a black box. It's really hard to get a hold of someone in Canva. So it just makes it easy for our agents to work with them. That's it.
Okay. All right, good stuff. Okay, next up, let me go back. Let me go back to the LAER agent services dash. All right, we're back at the LAER agent services dashboard, and lots of stuff that we've covered over the last 2 hours and 20 minutes. We still have a lot more to cover. Let's scroll down. We've covered basically all the marketing stuff. At the end of today, we'll go back and just kind of do a brief run through from the entire LAER program guide, because there's still a couple pieces we didn't quite touch on yet. But I want to at least get into agent growth and development. So one of the keys to your success as a real estate agent is going to come down to training, but not just any training and not just any coaching programs, because there's just so much training out there that you don't want to get stuck where you're in training classes so much that you're not actually doing business. So one of the things that we have at LAER is, first off, our training calendar. So if you go to let me back up a minute. If you go down to agent growth and development, there's 3 houses here. The first one, classes, meetings, and coaching. At LAER, we have 2 types of training. The upcoming training classes, which are typically live events, either by Zoom and sometimes in person. If you click on the training calendar, you could see all the upcoming training classes, so you never miss anything. Not only that, if you scroll to the bottom of the LAER training page, you can click a button to integrate our training calendar with your calendar, so you never miss anything. As well, you can take any of our previous training classes at our YouTube station. So youtube.com/LAER training. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of classes here. Now, all of our training is posted on our YouTube station directly after we do the live training event. However, I strongly recommend, if you're a LAER agent, that you download our agent app, our Elite Agent app, because everything is organized a little bit differently in the app. So it makes it easier for you to follow like an entire track. And let's say, for example, you want to learn due diligence, you can take a due diligence track. But the content that we put out at LAER is second to none. You'll see our Quantum Spark series, which is really about energy and attracting the things that you want in life. We also have our main event series, where we interview super high performing agents to find out how they are tackling the real estate business. And we have our social media masterclass, plus tons of classes on tools. Go check out and subscribe to our YouTube station so you never miss anything. By subscribing to our YouTube station, just clicking on the little subscribe button right at the top, you'll never miss anything, because the system will just send you a little ping every time a new training class is uploaded. Next, couple other pieces for you to check out here. If you're a LAER agent, we also have a free coaching program. I'm going to show you in a second that we created an unbelievable program to get agents up and running in their business. It's called Algorwin. We call it that because there is an algorithm to success in real estate. That means if you do certain things, you can expect a certain result. And so the Algorwin program, when you join, we give you the book. I'll also show you, for anybody watching, you can download our Algorwin guide if you want to follow the program. So if you're newer in the business, where you should be spending your every single day is the Algorwin book. Because if you do that system, you will get to 6 figures in your first year. It is absolutely possible. We've had many agents that do it. But we also have a 12-part course that helps agents go through the Algorwin program. And third, we have a coaching program. So if you go to laerrealty.com/layer coaching, this is a 6-month program where you can get assigned to a coach, and they will help walk you through the program. It just offers some super high accountability for agents that want that. So, by the way, you can click on this 12-week Algorwin course here, and this gives you everything you need. You can download the workbook at laerrealty.com/12-week Algorwin, and there's 12 classes that go with it. Here's the whole premise of the Algorwin program. It's built off of 7 simple checklists. The program was built by evaluating all of the highest performing agents at LAER. We brought them together and we said, let's examine exactly what they do to be successful in real estate. We took out all the noise. So there's a lot of things that some agents do, but not all agents do. Then we pared it down to the most important things that the highest performing real estate agents do. We narrowed that into 7 checklists. Super simple. 1 checklist that you do once a year. It has 12 items that you do once a year. A monthly checklist, 9 items you do once a month. A weekly checklist, 9 items you do once a week. And then the other 4 checklists are when you have a new buyer appointment, a new seller appointment, when you get a new listing, because that listing is your audition for your next transaction, and then events. Events is huge for building your business. So the whole program is built off of 7 checklists. We made it very easy. It's workbook format. You can go to laerrealty.com/12-week Algorwin. You can download the workbook. If you're a LAER agent, the workbook comes as part of your welcome package when you join LAER. And then you can watch these 12 classes walk you through the important parts of this program. Then after you complete the program, if you want additional help, there's the coaching program that goes with it. So laerrealty.com/LAER coaching. Let's go back. Next up, we have we're still under the agent growth and development, business plans and growth systems. So what you'll find under here is 3 things. When building your real estate business, the number 1 way we think you can build your business is the Algorwin system, which I just showed you. And we have success stories of newer agents that got to 6 figures in a very short time period because they consistently executed on the Algorwin system. We also have here a business planning guide. So some agents want to come in and actually build a business plan. This type of business plan that you'll find at this link is like your traditional business plan that you would see if you go Google, like, find me a business plan. We have one of those for agents that want it. The business plan is not going to give you a system. It just helps you create your goals and objectives, and it helps you think about a process for how you're going to achieve that goal. We also created a third option, which is called the simple plan. Basically, the simple plan is it's kind of like a business plan, but basically, in order to get to a higher result than where you are right now, you have to become a different version of yourself. So the simple plan kind of has you model out what create an avatar, in other words. Like, this is who you are right now, this is who you want to be, and then you have to build out, ask yourself, who that person that you wish to become, what does life look like for them? How much time do they spend doing these things? And then slowly over time, you become the newer version of yourself that is capable of creating and achieving this goal. So we have a few different plans for you there. And then the third one is we have a link here for continuing education classes. For those who need CE classes, we do have a partnership with the CE Shop. The reason why I love CE Shop is because they save all your certificates in one place. If you're anything like me in years past, you do all your CE classes at all different places, you attend an event, you do some online, and then when you need them, you can't find them. So the reason I love CE Shop is that you can have all of them stored in one place, but beyond that, they'll also tell you, like, many of you are licensed in multiple states. The CE class will say, hey, you took this class in Massachusetts, but we see you're licensed in New Hampshire. Did you know this certificate is also good towards your New Hampshire CE classes? So makes it super organized. I'm a huge fan of the CE Shop. All right, let's go back for a few minutes back to our program guide that we were looking at this morning. This is the LAER program and services guide that you can get at laerrealty.com/success tools. By the way, Tim, I saw that you put in the comments, when do we cover the leads? The only thing I will tell you about the leads, if you download the program guide, again, laerrealty.com/success tools. And let me present this. There is a page on here specifically for leads. Let me show you that. There we go. First, as you guys know, this is where we started this morning. I want to go through some of the stuff that we've already covered. We've gone through pretty much the entire marketing and branding section. We spent most of the morning focusing on this stuff. I will also, I'm going to spend a few minutes on technology in just one moment. Career development is what I just went through. I mentioned that even though all of our training is on YouTube, if you're a LAER agent, you should also download the LAER Elite Edge app. You should have gotten an invitation to that when you joined LAER or when we implemented the new Elite Edge app. If you don't have access to the Elite Edge app as a LAER agent, just email Happy Agent. We can resend you the invitation if you haven't been in it, because it's kind of cool. You can track all your goals and stuff right inside the Elite Edge app, but also the training is better organized than what we have on YouTube. So you could take training tracks where it'll say, like, okay, you want to do, this is your goal, here's the classes to take. I mentioned the Algorwin program, which you can then do the LAER coaching with that. This is also brand new for LAER. Every agent should have received an invitation to our LAER Force app. We're going to be resending invitations to this over the next few days. This is our app where agents within the brokerage can ask other agents to cover stuff for them. So you need somebody to cover a home inspection for you. You want to pay one of the other agents $50 to go show some properties for you on Saturday. This is a job posting app for our LAER agents where you can depend on all of the other people in the LAER agent force to help you with your business. Plus, it's a nice way for newer agents to make some extra money covering showings, stuff like that. This is a brand new app that we built from scratch. I only say that because I'm positive it still has some bugs in it. This is going to be one of the most powerful tools of our business, but it's going to take probably 6 months for us to get it exactly how we want it. So go in and start using it. When you see that something doesn't work quite as it should, let us know, because we're constantly tweaking it, making it even better. In addition to all the training and stuff that we do regularly, we also bring in speakers. So 2 years ago, we brought in Tom Ferry to do live event. Last year, we brought in Michael Mayer to do a 6-month coaching program for our agents. This year, we had Lee Brown do an event for us. So in addition to what we offer for training, we also bring in constantly outside experts to help our agents. And in general, I can't stress enough that when it comes to building your business, get involved, go out to the agent events, go to the LAER luncheons, whatever we're hosting, get out to it. Go visit other agents, because you'll pick up business just by doing that. You'll pick up referral business just by doing that. Before I go back, I'm going to come back here in a minute, but I want to show you, Tim, in this program guide, there's a page on generating leads. If you download this program guide at laerrealty.com/success tools, when you get to that page, go to the very bottom, download the PDF, because these are all live links. So there's 2 types of lead companies when you get into real estate. First, a word of warning to every real estate agent: don't get too caught up in lead services, because they're dangerous for your business. First of all, they're very expensive. So all these ones on the left-hand side are referral fee-based lead platforms. All the ones on the right-hand side are subscription-based lead platforms. So for example, you can go to Zillow and say, how much would it cost me to get 10 leads a month for this particular town? And they'll give you pricing for it. And they do come through, they give you whatever they say, 10 leads a month. Doesn't mean the person's going to buy, but they'll give you the 10 leads a month. Here's what I'll say: I'm not a fan of subscription-based lead platforms, because you can pay for several months and not have converted something. I will have agents at the company that disagree with me. We have many agents that buy Zillow leads because they like having some consistent lead flow. I am a huge fan of referral fee-based lead platforms. These are companies that you can sign up for, and they will give you leads for a referral fee. So they'll send you leads, and if that person buys a house, then you owe a referral fee, but it's expensive. 35 to 40% of the total commission goes direct to that company. So they're expensive. No matter which way you do lead companies, they're wicked expensive, super expensive, and generally not good for your business. My preference for everybody is to have you build a holistic business where you're working with people who know, like, and trust you. That's why the Algorwin program is so powerful, because if you stick to that program, you are going to build all this on your own. But I get it. Sometimes we don't have time to wait. We need to have some transactions going. So that's why I say go here, sign up for all these lead platforms. For the referral fee-based lead platforms, please note that many of these companies design their onboarding to get you to quit early. That's how they weed out real estate agents. So when you're signing up for the referral fee-based lead platforms and the system says, hey, we have a waiting list right now, fill out these, get us these 3 forms and fill out this paperwork, and we'll put you on the waiting list. What many agents do is quit. They stop. And that's by design. Oftentimes there isn't a waiting list. They're just trying to figure out who's going to quit easy. Because if you quit easy, you're going to quit easy when the leads come through too. And the lead programs, these are cold leads, which means you're going to have to follow up and follow up and follow up and follow up. And they want to make sure that the agents that they're getting are the ones that hold on and do not give up. So just keep that in mind when you're filling out for these referral fee-based lead platforms. All right, I kind of glossed over, I'm going to go back for a second because we glossed over technology a little bit. So these last 20 minutes or so, we're going to focus just on some of the cool technology available to real estate agents. All right, at LAER, when you join, you get a ton of technology at no charge. So we pay for your Loop, Zara, Cloud CMA, Showing Time, G Suite, the new LAER Force app, the agent productivity app, app files, tons of awesome products for you. All of these are free. Agents often ask when they're joining our brokerage, are there any fees, like any tech fees? Because almost every brokerage has a tech fee. At LAER, we do have a tech fee. It is optional. It's $39 a month, and it includes 3 products. Number 1 is Fellow. Fellow is a set it and forget it system where you put leads into the system and it will send every 2 weeks, it will give your client, anybody who's in your CRM, it will give them a home value report. And they let the customer know that it's not a CMA, that if they want a CMA that is more accurate, that they can have their real estate agent come out. So it's a phenomenal program. We have so many agents getting leads from Fellow. It's like the #1 lead source for many of our agents because it takes your database of people. Let's say you have 200 people in your database. It tells you which ones are actively engaged, like actively looking at their home value. So, and what's great about it is #1, you got to get people into Fellow. So remember, your database is your gold. It makes your business saleable down the road. You should have a system for constantly adding people into your database. This system will then sort your database and say, hey, you have 200 people, but pay attention to these 5 because they're probably going to sell in the next 12 months. In addition to that, it gives you a reason to call people. So if you see on the back end of your Fellow account that the person's clicking through stuff, then you can reach out to the customer and say, hey, I saw you checking out the value of your property. Are you thinking about selling? Or you could say, hey, I noticed you were looking at the value of your house. What did you think of the value? Too high, too low, or just right? So it's an awesome conversation starter. Number 2, the $39 a month tech bundle also gives you a beautiful, beautiful website, fully customizable. And 3, it gives you Real Scout. This is a very powerful tool. This tool is your home search app. So I said when I was showing you guys the buyer presentation that you have to be talking about Zillow or you're losing business to Zillow. So when you tell a buyer as part of your presentation, don't be searching for a house on Zillow because you're going to fall in love with a house that went under agreement 2 weeks ago. You now need to put that person into a search that's as good as what they think Zillow is. So you have to put them into a good search. By the way, the reason why I think people go to Zillow is because most agents use MLS for the property search, and MLS is underwhelming. It's not a great search. Real Scout is like being your own Zillow for property searches. You should have everybody you know who likes real estate, friends, family, next door neighbors, say, hey, do you want me to put you on my Real Scout app so you could see what's happening in your neighborhood, new listings coming on the market, stuff like that. So with that, I have Ashley from our tools team who's going to give you a really quick tutorial on why Real Scout is so important for your business.
Thank you, Stacy. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. share. Let's see. Can you see my screen?
Not yet, but I could see it's thinking. There it is.
Okay, perfect. So I call Real Scout MLS with bells and whistles that you can't get in MLS. And I'll go through what I mean by that as I go on. So I just created a little quick guide. So one of the first questions I get, is there an app for Real Scout? Of course there is. However, with Real Scout, there's two different apps. There's an agent app and a client app. So for the agents, you're going to want to look for the app that says Real Scout Agent Dashboard. Your key to knowing that if you're downloading the correct one is it's going to be a black background with a white house, and it's going to have the pro banner across the left top corner. It might vary slightly between the different phone systems, iOS, Android, any other phone. The client version is going to be the inverse white background, black house, and it's going to say Real Scout Home Search. So if you're an agent and you download Real Scout Home Search and it says that you don't have an account, you're going to want to go back to your app store and you're going to want to look for the Real Scout Agent Dashboard. That's one of the frequently asked questions that I get when I do one-on-one calls is, why can't I get in? And then we go through their phone and they have the client version. You could have the client version. You would just have to set yourself up on Real Scout as a client with a separate email from your LAER email or whatever preferred email I use to create your account. How can I use my Real Scout platform to self-generate leads? Within Real Scout, there's two different links that you can use to market your Real Scout platform. So the first one is a client search page where you can engage with prospective buyers to generate new leads, or you can do an onboarding link where you can invite them to create their own search. So there's two different links that you can use. What if you were doing, say, an open house for your new listing and you wanted to use one of these links? You certainly could, but I'm going to take it a step further. Take one of these links, put it in a QR code, people scan the QR code, and then they can enter their information and you will still get their information within your Real Scout platform. What if I belong to 2, 3, 4 different MLSs? Can they all be on Real Scout? Yes, they can. Now, there is two variations for this within Real Scout. So when I did this little quick tip, because I have 3 licenses with my, or 3 MLSs with my Real Scout, the cross MLS search is more of a basic search. It's more of like a search you'd get in MLS. The cross MLS search means that it's searching across the states that are associated with your MLS. So for me, it's Maine, New Hampshire, and Mass. If you want to do a specific state, you would just click the drop down arrow and then you would select what state. So MLS PIN is for Mass, Prime MLS is New Hampshire. Now, if you are doing a New Hampshire search, depending upon what you're setting up, if you're setting up a commercial sale or a residential property, it's going to make you select what category you want. It's not all clumped together like it is for MLS PIN or Florida or Maine. New Hampshire is different in that way. So if you do residential property and you wanted to do a commercial, you would have to select commercial for New Hampshire. You can't just select a residential property because it's not going to pull any commercial. There's a couple different ways you can add a new client, but the easiest way, in the top right corner, click on that big giant button that says add contact or alert. Then it's going to pop up a box for you to enter their email, their first name, their last name, optional phone number, source, if it's realtor.com, Veterans United. And then you can tag them. You can tag them as a buyer, a seller, buyer, and seller, or other. Once you put in their contact information, it's going to bring up the criteria fields for you to go through. So this is going to be more similar to your MLS. Now, if you are doing a search in a specific state, such as New Hampshire, and you had somebody that wanted to be in a particular school district or a particular HOA. You could put that in here, whereas in MLS, we know we can't put particular schools, we can't put HOA, right? Some limitations with MLS. Real Scout gives you that option. In Florida, I know on the east side of Florida, I know equestrian is very popular, probably I think in the winter towards spring maybe. There's a little search field for that. So if you have somebody who's looking for an equestrian seasonal rental, you could put that in there. So the search fields are more unique than in MLS. You can also import contacts. So if you have a CSV file of your database and you want to import it, you can go ahead and do that. So when you're in add a contact, there's going to be, you have to go to contacts over on the left on the navigation panel. Once you do that, there's going to be a button over on the right that says import contacts. Click on that and then follow the on-screen prompts where you just have to go find the file in your computer and it will upload. What if you have a client who's, for example, works in the medical field? They need to be a certain radius or a certain mileage from where their hospital that they're going to be working at. Can you search by that? You can. So you could draw your own outline. You could draw a polygon. You could draw a rectangle, or you could draw a radius. So when you do the radius, you're going to start with a center point, and then as you draw with your mouse, as you draw that circle, it's going to have a line and it's going to tell you how many miles you are from that center point. So those are the different ways that you can search. Now, I will say when you are creating your own shapes, you need to do 4 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But then your fourth point is always going to have to go back to your first point. If you do not close the shape, whatever shape it may be, if you do not connect your last point to your first point, it is not going to close the shape and it is not going to search the area. So your first point, your last point, and your first point have to be closed. If they're not closed, it's not going to create that search for you. Again, you can search by school district, particular school name, your traditional zip code, county, cities, condo association name, development name, or subdivision name. Updating client search. So if, let's say you have a client named Stacy and she gives you a budget of say 500 to 700, but then, you know, she's not finding anything and she wants to go a little higher and adjust her low end to say 600 to 750, you would just come over on the left navigation panel, click on contacts, click on the contact name. And then once you are on the contact name, if you have all three alerts, so if you have a listing alert, market activity alert, and a home value alert, you would go to the alert you want to edit. So for this one, it would be a listing alert. So we would go to the listing alert. We would click edit. It's going to pop up a box with all of her recent matches. Click on edit filters. Once you click on edit filters, it's going to bring you back to the main search fields. And then you would just go and edit whatever section of that client search you wanted to edit. So for this example, it would be the price. We would edit the price and then we would click save. You always want to click save. Any new matches that come up with that new adjusted criteria are going to come up and it's going to ask you, do you want to send them now or not? If you do not send them now, then you'll have to manually send them to that client once you preview them. Or if you want to send them now, you can just say, hi, Stacy, I adjusted your search based upon your new price criteria. Here are some new matches. And then you could send that. Auto nurture, I like auto nurture because it just keeps your clients top of mind, even if there's low inventory. And even if you have a client set up on, say, a 3-bed, 2-bath search, and they start looking at 3-bed, 1-bath properties, Real Scout will automatically cater the emails to the 3-bed, 2-bath and the 3-bed, 1-bath search. So that's a little unique feature. Monthly market activity report. Now, what I like about this is you can use it for sellers as well as buyers. And what I do with this is I see what's going on in a particular neighborhood or a particular town. And what this does is it gives your buyers an idea of where the hot properties are. Now, it's also going to tell you if it's a top viewed property. So if it's a top viewed property, I might go back to my clients and say, hey, you know, this property, it's a top viewed property. I know it's high on your list. I know you really want it. Here's some different ways, right? You could do, say, you could talk to a lender, see if they could do a 3-week close. You could do, say, a home inspection cap. So anything less than $5,000, unless it's a health or safety hazard, we're not going to come back and ask the seller for. Example, say there's an outlet that doesn't have a GFCI and it needs to be GFCI. You could do that when they move in. But let's say the hot water heater's at its end of its life and it's going to be $5,500 to replace it, right? That's kind of more of a safety health hazard because it could, you know, potentially let off gases that aren't good or harmful. Then you'd go back to the seller for that. I actually did that back in 2024 for clients, and that's how they ultimately won the offer. Is because, you know, the seller knew that there'd be little things that she'd have to fix, but she didn't want to him and haggle over a couple light bulbs or something that had to be fixed that she knew. But, you know, she was working crazy hours and stuff. So using outside thinking, different thinking, creative thinking is what got my clients that offer after I had done the market activity report. Now, you can use that for sellers because it also gives you a report, the same report, what's going on in their neighborhood, where are similar houses listed, where are similar houses sold, right? In addition to the CMA, because, you know, sellers are like, oh, I can get top dollar for my house. But if they have more concrete evidence saying, hey, this is where all the buyers are going to, they're going over on this side of town versus over here, because over here they're overpriced, whereas over here they priced it appropriately. It went under contract in X amount of days. So you can use this to have your sellers be more realistic with the price as well. And then I just have, you know, a couple different reasons why it's better than a website, such as Zillow, Realtor.com. It's an above average search experience and it's more user friendly, not only for the agent, but for the clients. And the clients can also go through certain features, such as the kitchen, the neighborhood, the area, you know, and like individual features and amenities of the property, where in MLS, they can just like or dislike a property, but then you're still having to call them or text them or email them. Okay, great, you liked it, but what did you like about it specifically? Real Scout gives them that option without you even having to call them, text them, email them. New property alerts as soon as it hits the market. Emails with photos, all of the information, an app, right? And then you can integrate it with the major lead platforms. And then Zillow, I just have the little thing about if you're not talking about Zillow in your business, why you should. So that's a little bit about Real Scout. If you are a LAER agent and you have any questions about the tech bundle, or you're not sure what the tech bundle is, just email Happy Agent and I'll reach out to you about scheduling a call to go over that or over your questions that you have. And with that, I'm going to give it back to Stacy.
All right, awesome stuff. And we have 5 minutes to spare. Let's see. Let's do a quick recap on everything. All right. So we just saw, by the way, the total for the tech bundle at LAER is $39 a month. I think all the products are great, even if you weren't at LAER, although you'll pay a lot more. I think the total of all three is somewhere around $300 a month if you want to just go sign up on your own. We subsidize some of that to drive the cost down for agents, but it's a no-brainer. All three products are really amazing for your business. All right, let's fast forward. So we've been through the marketing section of the program guide. We've been through the technology, and now we have already gone through the career development section of our booklet. The last piece I want to get to is agent support services. Most important, if you're a LAER agent and you ever need anything at all, just email happyagent@laerrealty.com and our team will get right back to you. That is our customer service support dashboard for our agents. So when your request comes through, it gets assigned to whichever staff member is best suited to answer your question quickly and knowledgeably. The reason we have that support is so that agents never feel lost. We never want you to have a question on a transaction or need help with something. It can be anything at all and not be able to get the help you need. We also utilize Earnest and Deposit Link. These are great additions over the last few years so that you don't have to drive around picking up checks, stuff like that for escrow. You could just send a link to the customer and they can have an ACH transfer of their funds. We use e-checks, just makes it super easy for our agents to do business and not have to drive places to get a check or anything. If you're a LAER agent and you want to have a voice in the tools, the training, the technology available at LAER, we encourage you to sign up for one of our great committees. And you got to hear from Craig today, our Chief Sustainability Officer. There's so many wonderful resources at LAER so that you can be knowledgeable on sustainability. The best way to be knowledgeable on sustainability is to get your green designation, but go check out all the resources in the sustainability section of our LAER agent services. And then I also like to always plug the fact that we are realtors. I'm a huge fan of the realtor organization. My main reason is self-serving. I believe that we would not have an industry if it weren't for the realtor organization. I believe that if you look at many industries before us, travel agency, taxis, I mean, even the hotel industries are being displaced because they didn't have this huge organization rallying for them. So that's my number one reason for liking the National Association of Realtors. But also, the biggest thing that agents don't like is paying for the National Association of Realtors. But if you simply look at it, for example, as an investment, and how do you get your return on that investment? In my opinion, the fastest way to get a return on your investment is through RPR, the Realtor Property Resource, which has phenomenal tools for you. So dig in to all the stuff the Realtor organization has. The easiest one is RPR. I feel like if you're simply using RPR, then you will get your return on being a realtor. And with that, we are at the end of the program. If you are not a LAER agent, but you're interested in learning more about LAER, I would love to talk to you. You can email me at happyagent@laerrealty.com. And as always, as you exit today's program, what I want you to think about is what you're going to execute on. We started today's program saying knowledge is not power, it's potential. To turn it into power, you have to execute on these things. So before you walk away from your computer, write down the few things that you're going to go execute on as you leave the program. I'm going to put all of you into an email campaign for today's boot camp so that we'll be dripping on you over the next 30 days some of the key points we shared in today's class, and that way you can have these little reminders on the stuff that you should be executing on so that today's 3-hour commitment turns into money, turns into a true investment that helps your business. So with that, I want to thank everybody who joined us for an entire morning of learning. We appreciate you and have a great start to your fall market. Thanks, everyone.